Welcome back, our dear viewers. As we have promised at the beginning of the show, that today we are going to talk about the mega projects in Egypt and how they are helping in boosting the economy and in solving the problem of unemployment, how they are also helping in attracting foreign investors. To shed more light about that topic, we are very much delighted to have our dear guest in the studio, Ambassador Dr. MOHAMED Elhouseni, the Economic Committee Director of the UN Association Egypt. Good morning, Dr. Mohammed.
Morning.
Good morning, Dr. Mohammed. First, we'd like to shed light on the importance of the mega projects that were carried out in the past 4 years and to what extent they helped in attracting investors.
Actually, we will highlight here about the reform happening in our economy starting in 2014 in the last 4 years. Because actually what our administration under the leadership of President Al-Sisi have did, they have run 11,000 projects in that 4 years. The first thing they concentrate of is the infrastructure of Egypt, the roads and the tunnels and all the kind of resources to make the life to the citizen more flexible and more easy. Yeah. Which, if you remember, in the last 10 years that Egypt, there was no any kind of a development or even a renovation or a maintenance in the infrastructure to Egypt, which have been done since the 60 years. So we talk about 7,000 kilometers of new roads and tunnels and bridges have been done by the new techniques and have been done with a cooperation of the international companies. And as well that those infrastructure projects have taken 35% from the unemployed youth and finding more than 125,000 jobs. That's for the first project in changing the infrastructure to the country. And then launching the new administrative city, which have been done or launched in Egypt, the Future Conference in Sharm el-Sheikh. That city, as you talk about, a new zone corp, which is specialized in 3 or 4 sectors, that you make a government bay and you make a residential bay and you make a business bay and then you make extension for an industrial zone connected with the port of Ain al-Sokhna. To make a project like that, it was not easy for Egypt to decide it. Yeah, it was the papers, it was on the table. But to do it, you need a lot of fund. Yeah, and you need a huge kind of cooperation with the international organizations and as well the international companies. And here, that there was a puzzle image for Egypt economy. And after, of course, the revolution had been done in 2011 and 2013, the international holding companies and group of investment in that type of field, they was looking to Egypt as there is no government we can deal with. Yep. There is a lot of issues, there is a lot of cases have been done in the last 20 years. So the first thing you applied for IMF to get the loan, and that's a certificate that your country and your administration is running to change its economy, to make a new reform. Of course, that thing give to the companies when you invite them in the Egypt the Future Conference, that the ability to enter the Egypt market. Here, the President Al-Sisi put a condition that in the beginning, he said it's 100% of the manpower will be Egyptian, and of course that cannot be happen. So we adopted to be 85%. So imagine a new city look like the size, as they say. I can say that it's a third quarter of Cairo, that it's having over than 200,000 laborers over there and engineers, and you're talking about a new city that you have over than 355 companies locally and internationally to achieve that project. So that project, what it will affect to the citizen, removing the government departments and authorities from Cairo itself. This is meaning you are making the population breathe. transferring this 7 million persons which is coming in and out Cairo daily to
for services, you mean?
of
and,
course, for
for
dealing with the
yes.
government paperwork, you know. So changing and moving them outside of Cairo, this is giving a space even to the investors in how they look to your country after you build the infrastructure.
Indeed.
So the third thing was when we, about the new Suez Canal and the new Zone Corp for the industrial city. That was one of the biggest project in the history of Egypt that have been done and announced, because we don't have an zone corpus or a specialized cities look like you don't have before, something like the medical city. You don't have look like in Dubai, the media city, the medical city, the industrial city. You don't have this kind of cities or smart cities. Doing it in Egypt after you have dig for the new canal, actually the development zone which you have did there, this is you have signed an MOU, a memo of understanding and cooperation with over than 15,000 companies and factories in East Asia exactly, which they are coming to put the manufacturing of the car assembly, the medical supplies. You have look like 16 sectors in this Zone Corp. Of course, that you cannot wait look like an income from that or a turnover to us as a citizens, because that was look like a desert, and now you have dig it and you have put the infrastructure to the investors. Investors started to transfer over $16.4 billion in the last 4 years for investing in Suez Canal. And now we are going in the process of, you will start to see by 2019 up to 2021, the new factories and new companies, because what the government did and the administration did is they insulate the Suez Canal zone from the administration to make it centralized. So we will kill the bureaucracy, the bureaucracy system in that place, because you are dealing with investor now. So that was also an important project that the president and the administration have been taken, and also it's returning Egypt to a way that the investors abroad is looking to you, because before when we talk, we have just a lot of talking and paperwork, but we don't have a running project, so they will be interesting to come to you. But here there was a problem that to making the investment law and to give a data information to the investors, that the investment law take 3 years to be announced, and it's finally, thank God that it's have been done, and also the external tax law, and as well the customs service and laws. So that you already give, and also in the investment authority, the new center they make for facilitating the investors when they come, to not to pass in a 70 stage to open a company, they make it just 7, which this is to happen in Egypt, meaning you are going in the new era of technology solution as the same to the other countries. So, and there is a lot of things look like الضبع nuclear plant. There was the 1.5 million meter of the agriculture. There was the fishing in the east of also Port Said, I think. And there was a lot of projects. That projects, what actually it affected the citizen, if we talk about how this mega projects which we announced and we was proud that we are doing affect us, or what are the change have been done. When you look to a country was unstable political wise, was unstable as a foreign affairs, was unstable in its economy and its business cycle, which in the local market, because you was not doing anything, you was letting the country to the private sector. Yes. There was no cooperation with the public sector itself. So when you have an administration to run all those projects and ask a cooperation from the local investors and from the foreign investors, it meaning you wake up the business cycle in the country. But here, as we are facing a hard, of course, a hardship and hard time, and not just Egypt, it's the whole world for increasing the prices of the oil and gas worldwide, and especially for those countries who is importing them resources of fuel, look like us in Egypt. What we did also in the mega project, the exploration of the gas planets in Egypt, and that give us a position for the producing countries to the gas in the world, and that will give will give you in 2019 to fill up your needs, and you will not be importing by a $40 billion yearly. That imagine that you will cut this from your budget.
Yeah.
So of course that mega project that the administration have announced, and they did it and they make it happen. Of course, it's a give a huge kind of waving to Egypt from a sleeping country to the whole world, to awake investment country seeking cooperation internationally.
So since you have been talking now about investments and investors, at what extent with all the new mega projects that you have been mentioning now and the other projects that will be implemented by the state, that would attract and give credibility to the investors, and also with the issuing of the new investment law?
Actually here, when I talk as an investor, for example, that when I look to the countries in the Gulf region or the East Asian countries, the first thing I will see what is the grade and what is the position of those countries based of, for example, the Moody's establishment, the international organization, the IMF, all those financial organizations, how they look to the country. Are your stage is A+, A triple plus, B+, C, unstable? So what is your rank? Actually, to us now we are stable. So why we are stable? Because we make a reform in our economy cycle, and we get this certificate from IMF to give us a loan. They are not giving it even. It will give us a hardship in the running years, but they will not give it to you if they didn't find that you are a serious administration. So me as an investor looking to you, running those projects on the ground after you announce it, and solving the cases and the issues for the previous investors you have, which they were in the courts for over than 20 years and nobody looked to them, based of a law, it's called the Union Investment Law. So to put it like that, for me as an investor, I will look for one thing. If you do it, so I will come to Egypt. Why? This one thing is, this country is giving a facilities and service, this government, or they are just approaching us by projects and laws and stuff like that. Here, this is what have been a change in Egypt after Dr. Sahar Nasr have taken the Ministry of Investment, and after they make the investment law, they give a service now to the investors, which they give the overgrant facilities that you can bring up your equipments inside the country without customs. They give you a free taxes from 5 to 10 years. They give you the land for 10 to 20 years. This services Egypt is doing now is the same what Morocco did and Algeria did and India did and China did. So here the investors, okay, the country is stable, the country is safe, the country political-wise and foreign affair-wise having a good position. In the financial market, they having a good position as well. They having projects, they come. So why he will come to Egypt and he will not go to Dubai? Because we are 104 million person in that country. So we are a huge market. For me as an investor, if I will sell a chips, if I will sell a potato, if I will sell whatever I will do, if I will manufacture, I have a cheap labors, this is number one, and I have a huge gap of interest I can do. For example, if you are talking about any, we will not mention any brand, but if we talk about the cars, for example, and you will manufacture the cars in Suez Canal, what you did, what will give me as a Japanese or a Chinese or whatever, or Korean? The first thing is you put me in Suez Canal, so you put me in the logistic, in the international logistic spot. So I don't have any issues to distribute my goods in Africa and Asia and the Gulf region and as well Europe. This is number one. Number two, when you put to me the labor cost in East Asia or in Europe or in the United States, it's 4 times to the Egyptian labor. And the Egyptian labor is clever. When you put to them a system and you train them well, they will give you a good production. And number 3 is, if I just produce to the consumers in Egypt market and the Arab countries, I don't need to expand more than this. So just imagine it, how the investors now is seeking. The Gulf investors increased by 56%. I was talking to one economical expertise as a colleague yesterday, and we was talking about the UAE investors, the Kuwait investors, the Saudi investors, how they are now injecting in the new cities, the new tourist cities, look Al Alamein city.
Yes, Dr. Husseini, you were telling me about this book next to you. It's about business in Egypt, and it gives guidance to investors. So can you elaborate on this, please?
That's Egypt Business Guide. Yes. Actually, we did that.
I think it's the which edition?
This is the 5th edition. Yeah. And but this edition is totally different from the rest of the editions.
Why?
Because here we got 100 employee. They are a fresh grad. Nobody of them have any experience, as we follow the leads of the president when he said last year that it's the year of youth. Yes. So we did it, and actually I did it by myself as a voluntary to the country, and we take the officialism from Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Federation of Egypt Chamber of Commerce's, Ministry of Investment as well, to make it to be as the official gate of information in Egypt. And here it's Arabic and English, of course. And
this edition is in 2017?
This is 2018. Why we delay in that? Actually, we delay in that because of the laws and regulation. As you see here, this is, if the camera can put the spot, it's a general information about the Egypt, the national honor list. We put here as Councillor Adli Mansour, what he have did in that particular time. Also Engineer Sharif Ismail. If each one have did achievements in the country. And then we put a list of the ministers, the authorities, the departments, and the embassies in the country. We put the legalization to
like
investment.
A full index.
Everything related to the business and investment in the Arab Republic of Egypt is in this book.
There is an e-version of this book as well.
Of course, it's egyptbusinessguide.com, and in the social media we have over than 350,000 followers. They are all in the business sectors internationally and locally. And the companies we registered here, those companies is the actual listed companies operating in the country, not a fake information. Because the problem always to any investor when he is making his visibility study or making his research to the production or the competitor, the problem will always come to him is he cannot find the list of the operating companies in his category. We did that by we check each company in each category. We categorize the business in Egypt by alphabet, and we make it by the category and the subcategory. So if you will go in the petrochemical, if you will go in the oil and gas, if you will go in the properties, so you will find each company can supply to you. What if the companies is already the history of each company, and it's all in the mobile application as well. And as we said, it's an e-gate and a printed copy for free to everyone.
And what about the employee, the young graduates that you have mentioned that they were listed in the index? Which was the criteria here?
Actually, for me, it was an experience that I'm really proud that I did it to my country. Gathering a team and making workshops for them, which they don't know anything in the business, and when they apply them CVs in any company, they will ask for 3 to 5 years experience to just let them enter the company under the probation period. But for me, actually, of course, I evaluate a lot until I find that team, and I find for them the ego that they wanted to put their names in a national project. It's not about the salary or the money they would take, They want to experience how to can operate. So we teach them in our establishment
Yep.
the techniques, and we find the impact from them is not as how I expected. It's more than amazing, and you will find that spirit when you work with this fresh grad, which you cannot find.
Enthusiastic team.
It's they was giving me. We worked for almost 1 year without rest. We work 12 months, and we take over than 165,000 companies to bring from them 5,000 running companies in that. That's not an easy work. And nobody support us. Nobody help us. But after that, we got the authorization from the government to make it the official gate and index report to the business in Egypt. It was an amazing opportunity for me to join with those guys. Yeah.
Sir, talking about Egyptian citizens and their status, and when will they feel the impact of economic reforms?
Let's first talk here about the economic reforms. Who is the countries have made something like us, or what are the experience or the examples of the countries that look like Egypt? When we talk here, we talk about Singapore and Malaysia and Brazil, as these countries come or been awake from a dark ages, as what we said.
Yes.
Some of them take 10 years, some of them take 15 years, some of them take 20 years.
Yes.
Nobody take 4 years. But for you in Egypt, and let's face the truth to the citizen and to everyone, that we was living since 1975, because Egypt, the economy was stable.
Yeah.
We don't have any debts. The country was running smoothly until the attack have come to us in 1967 from Israel.
Yeah.
And then the war have been done in 1973. That's eat the resource of the country up to 1979. 1980, the country start to what? To recover a war of how many years? Of over than 13 years. So you had a lot of debts. Your resources was undeveloped. You don't have any exploration for any kind of a new income. You don't have any source of development to your economy. So you was collapsing. So what you did from 1980 up to 2000, let's say 9, you was living in the support and help from the brothers coming from the Gulf region.
Yes.
Some of the companies was giving aids to Egypt, and that make you from that position in the foreign policy as a country down.
Yes, indeed.
To have a national administration now making your country face the countries, and you can sit in the table in any committee or in any meeting and conference and saying, no, we have that, that's good. But for us as an Egyptian citizen, we need to face that.
Indeed.
It's not an easy way, it's a hard way, but we need patience.
Yes.
Just patience.
No other alternative. We have to move in that direction. Unfortunately, we did run out of time. Ambassador Dr. MOHAMED Elhouseni, Economic Committee Director of the UN Association Egypt, always a pleasure.
That's my pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you, Doctor. And now, dear viewers, we'll go for a short break and we'll be back, so stay tuned.